Hello everyone, it's Heather and I am back today with another Q&A. These are more of my viewers' questions that I'm going to be answering in this video today. Now originally what happened back in late July when I asked for people to submit questions for a Q&A video, I got a large number of travel related questions, and then I got a smaller number of kind of other questions that were more about me and stuff like that. And so originally my idea was to do two videos, one with travel questions and one with other questions. But then after I filmed the travel questions video, I got some more travel questions after I'd already filmed that one, and that one was already long enough. So I decided just to add them on to my list of other questions. And so this one is a mix of both travel questions and other questions. First question, book recommendations. Okay, book recommendations. As you know, if you've been following my channel for a while, I'm a pretty big reader. I have lots of books that I really enjoy. One place that's good to hear what books that I've enjoyed is I've gotten into the habit now. Viewers actually really enjoy this video. At the end of the year, I do a favorites of the year video. And one of the things I talk about is what my favorite books were that I read that year. So if you go back and look at my last couple of years of favorites videos, they usually go up around Christmas time, New Year's. There will be some in there that I enjoy. Books are very subjective. Obviously, everybody has a different taste for what they like to read. I personally prefer a combination of mystery, thrillers, historical fiction. One of my favorite time periods for historical fiction is World War II. I also like, modern day fiction, like, romance or drama or things like that set in the current day. It's a mix. Depends on my mood. Two interesting things about me as a reader, though. One is that I really prefer to read books that are set in the season that is happening now. Like in the fall, I want to read books that are set in the fall. And at Christmas time, I like to read books that are set at Christmas time. And in summer, I want to read books that are set in the summer. It feels weird to me, and this is probably because I live in a place where there are 4 distinct seasons, but it feels strange to me to read a book that's set in a different season than the one I'm experiencing. It just feels wrong to my brain. So that's something about me. And then the other thing that I have learned, 2 things. One, the best sellers, I often don't like those. I often really find, just because a book is popular doesn't mean it's good. That's something that I have learned. Just because a book is really popular and a whole bunch of people are reading it, sometimes those books are really crap. They're really not very good at all. So that's something I have learned. And then another thing that I have learned is don't force yourself to finish a book if you don't like it. Like, why am I wasting my time continuing with this book when it's such a chore and I'm not enjoying it? I really want to enjoy the books that I read. And so if I'm not into it, if I'm not digging it by maybe 5 chapters in, I just take it back to the library and get something else, because there's no reason to force yourself to read something if you're not enjoying it. And there's different levels of enjoyment for a book. And again, it just really depends on your mood. So I have a whole bunch of books that I like, and I rate everything on Goodreads. If you want to, you could try to follow me on Goodreads. I don't usually accept friend requests on Goodreads from people I don't know. But if you're a frequent viewer, I might recognize your name. And so then I would probably accept your request, and then you could follow me on Goodreads and see everything that I read. I did used to post on Twitter, but I've kind of given up on Twitter because what is going on there? Okay, so anyway, that's my thoughts on reading and book recommendations. Okay, number 2, good question. How is my right ankle now? And why didn't you ever have surgery? Well, I'll tell you, that's a really good question. You'd have to ask my first initial jerk of a podiatrist as to why I didn't have surgery. When I asked my second podiatrist that I have seen more recently why I didn't have surgery, why that first podiatrist didn't do surgery when he should have, he basically looked at the floor and said, I really don't know. So I should have had surgery. I should have had an MRI immediately, and I should have had surgery right away. And he didn't do that. And the main reason he didn't do that, I believe, is because he did not take me seriously and he did not believe how much pain I was in. And he did not realize how badly that ankle was injured. And that was his mistake. And by the time he did the MRI 5 months later and realized how much was damaged, and I talk about this in this video that I made a while back, so go and check that out because I talk about this more there. I really don't know. I was never given the option, like, do you want to have surgery? They never asked me that. Neither podiatrist ever asked me. Both podiatrists at different points said at an appointment, you might still need surgery, or we might have to consider surgery. But then they'd say, we're going to give it 3 more months and then reevaluate. And so then 3 months later, I would go back in and they would look at my ankle and then they just dropped it. They never mentioned surgery again. And so I don't know what the deal was with that. And back when I made this video, I said that I had a theory that the reason that they hadn't done surgery was because of the torn ligaments and that they can't fix torn ligaments. That was the impression I was under. But I recently asked my newer podiatrist, can you fix torn ligaments? And he says, oh yeah, we fix them all the time. So that wasn't true. They could have fixed them. And then my physical therapist told me around that same time, ligaments don't heal on their own. So I don't know what the status of the ligaments in my right ankle are because I never had surgery on them. And according to her, they don't heal on their own. And that's kind of what my primary care doctor said too. But at the last appointment that I had with my more recent podiatrist, which was in June of 2023, he examined my ankle and he said, it feels very stable to me. And he said, I actually think it's fine. And after he said that, a little bit of a mental thing, I started to try just to use it normally. Walk downstairs the right way and all that, because I was also having the trouble with my leg and my hip and that. And it does seem fine. It actually feels pretty strong and it feels stable. And I only get pain occasionally if I walk a lot or if I try to walk too fast. But I've been limited in that because of the other issue I've been having more recently with my back and stuff. And so I haven't really been able to tell. But while I was on bed rest for those 10 days when they thought my pelvis was fractured earlier this year, that ankle held up fine. And I was putting all the weight on that right ankle and it was totally fine. And the one thing with driving was really painful on my right ankle. But since Megan learned to drive and got her license this past summer, she commented that the pedals in my car, I drive a Kia Sorento, are just hard to hold and push. And she said it's painful for her. So I almost think it might not be my ankle that makes driving tough, but the pedals in my car. Because now after she mentioned that, I actually thought, yeah, sometimes when I drive rental cars, because I rent a lot of cars when we travel, I don't have any trouble at all with driving. So maybe I just need a new car with better pedals. Until at this point, this whole hip back thing with the nerve and all that and the herniated disc is still problematic right now. So I don't know how I'm going to be with like walking downstairs and walking around yet at the time I'm filming this video. But the ankle seems to be okay. I just hope, like you mentioned in your question, that I don't have degenerative problems and arthritis issues and stuff later because they never did surgery. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But right now it's okay. Okay, question number 3. What inspired you to start a YouTube channel? This is a very interesting question. I started my YouTube channel back in June of 2018. So my channel is over 5 years old. And basically, it was kind of a twofold thing. My son, Ben, started his YouTube channel. We started them within days of each other. And so we both kind of took on this project. Yes?
Before any of that, I started the YouTube channel and you were both like, ooh, that sounds
Oh,
cool.
that's right. Megan just poked her head in and said before that, she started a YouTube channel. She has a YouTube channel too where she sings. And we both kind of got intrigued by that and went, ooh, that might be kind of fun. And we started kind of a project together of learning all about YouTube and how it works and how do you start a channel and what's it all about and everything like that. And we learned along the way. Ben actually taught me a lot. He was very self-taught. And we'd all started watching YouTube more around that time. And the types of videos that I was watching were all like travel related videos. And I thought to myself, I could do this. I could make travel videos. I have a lot of travel experience and I have a lot of travel knowledge that I could share and could help people. As in with any YouTube channel, if you go back and watch my oldest videos, they're hilarious. You know, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I was doing and stuff like that, but they get better with time. Something that is kind of like a sticking point with me and my mom, she's under the impression that I just wanted to have a YouTube channel and that travel just happens to be the thing I picked to make my channel about. And she's kind of pushed me at different times saying, well, why don't you just make videos at home and, you know, talk about something else? I don't want to do that. It's not that I just wanted to start a YouTube channel and I decided to talk about travel as my niche. I'm very passionate about travel. And I love travel. It's my favorite thing in life. And I really, really love talking about travel. And I have a lot of travel knowledge. And I really genuinely feel that I can use my travel knowledge and my travel experiences to help other travelers and to make your travel experiences better. And that's my goal. And YouTube just happens to be the outlet that I have chosen to share that knowledge and share those experiences. And so that's why I started the YouTube channel. The other reason is a little bit too, from a personal perspective, it does motivate me and also kind of make me accountable to record our travel experiences so that we can go back and watch them and enjoy them ourselves too. That's kind of just a side benefit because the work that I put into editing it and making it like a storytelling video is nice because, you know, people take home movies and stuff all the time. And do you ever watch those again? But because I take the time and effort to put them into like a fairly professional format for you, the viewers, also benefits us because we can go back and watch it and it's enjoyable to watch. I really feel that my YouTube videos, especially more recent years, are very fun to watch and packed with loads of good information. I really do. I work very hard to try to make them very helpful with lots of tips and important information that would help you with your travels, both positive and negative. And we're always very honest about our opinions about things because we really genuinely want you to know what it was like. I hope that it does help people. I really appreciate the comments I get from people that tell me, thank you so much for making this video. This video really helped. One that stands out to me is I made two videos actually, back to back, about how to use public transportation in Boston and how to ride the T. And I've gotten so many comments on that video of people saying like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I didn't know how I was going to get to work tomorrow. And I really appreciate comments like that. I mean, I love all your comments and I love hearing from my viewers and I really appreciate everyone's support. But I especially really appreciate it when people tell me this actually really helped me. I'm so glad you told me this because I feel like that always makes your travels better. The more information you have ahead of time and the more you know before you go into the experience, the better prepared you're going to be and the better able you're going to be able to manage situations and enjoy your experience traveling. And that's why I do it. So that's what inspired me and that's why I make YouTube videos. Okay, number 4, how would you rank the ports and excursions you did in 2023 and why? So in 2023, at the time that I'm making this video, we had gone on 3 cruises. We went on Royal Caribbean's Navigator of the Seas out of Los Angeles in January. And that one we went to Ensenada and, Catalina Island. I forgot about that. Okay, then in March, we went on Disney Magic out of New Orleans. And we went to Progresso and Cozumel. Okay. And then in May, we went to Alaska on Holland America Eurodam. And we went to Juneau, Sitka, Ketchikan, and then had a scenic cruising day at Hubbard Glacier. Okay. I didn't actually take the time to rank these, but I can kind of go through them. Ensenada, we did not really get off or do a shore excursion. We got off and just walked around on the dock. Okay, so I'm going to those will just kind of go to the side because I can't really tell you more about the port. Catalina Island, we enjoyed very much. We liked Catalina Island. We thought that was a really fun place to visit. We just explored on our own. We didn't do any kind of shore excursion, but it's part of the United States. It's part of California. You know, they speak English there. We were able to use our cell phones there. They had little ice cream shops, and I would very much like to go back to Catalina Island. I can tell you that. And I'd like to do the tour of the casino, which is actually a theater. So that was a neat port. I enjoyed that one. Cozumel and Progresso on our Disney Magic Cruise, we did not really get off. I mean, I got off in Progresso and walked around a little bit, again, in the dock area. But we did not do any shore excursions in those two places. And I talk in those vlogs about why. There were 2 reasons. One was because it was very, very, very hot. 3 reasons. Secondly, because all of the shore excursions were a long distance away by bus, like hours away. And thirdly, because we were trying to save money for shore excursions for Alaska, because those cruises were pretty close together. So I can't really speak on those. We might want to do something in those ports again in the future, but Ben actually requested after those, we did 3 Mexico cruises in a row. He and I went to Mexico too in October of 2022, and he said, can we please stop going to Mexico? So he didn't want to go back to Mexico anymore. The Alaska ports, I talk more in those videos. Megan and I both ranked them the same. We liked Ketchikan the best. We liked them more each subsequent port. So the last one we went to, Ketchikan, we liked the best. I would like to go back to Ketchikan and explore the town area more when it's not raining. We liked Sitka the next best. And then we liked Juneau the least. Again, it was raining. Sitka and Juneau surprised me in how ordinary they were. They weren't really very touristy at all. So that was strange to me. Like, I wasn't expecting that. If we go on an Alaska cruise again in the future, I would definitely like to go back to Ketchikan, and I would definitely like to go to Skagway, which our cruise did not go to, which is another more historic and touristy town in Alaska. I know I didn't rank those there, but hopefully that helps you. So I would say my favorites of these were probably Ketchikan and Catalina Island of the last 3 cruises that we did. So hopefully that helps you. Okay, number 5. Tips for cruising with more people than usual. And they were talking about our trip to Alaska when there were 5 of us. That was more than we would usually be, which, well, we've done 5 before. When I was married, I did a cruise with 5 with me, my husband, my then 2 kids, and my dad. And we were all in one stateroom, but that was on Disney Wonder, and the room was much bigger than what we had on Eurodam. My advice for going with that many people is don't. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to go in a party of 5 or more. That was hard. First of all, it's going to be more expensive because you have more people, and I was basically paying for kind of everybody. And that really did me in for travel for the rest of this year. So, because I was paying for so much for so many people. You know, you're going to need more rooms. I mean, honestly, we really should have probably had 3 rooms because our room for me, Megan, and Ben was too small for us. And I didn't realize that ahead of time. Like, it would have been good if, like, my dad could have had his own room, but then you're still paying for 2 people, unfortunately. You know, and, like, the boys could have been in one room and Megan and I could have been in one room, but I couldn't afford that. So, you know, the more people you have, the more room you need. It was difficult at dinner. They don't have tables for 5 people. They have tables for 4 people, they have tables for 6 people, and they have bigger tables than that. And so we were almost always at a table for 6 people. And so there was always one empty chair, and it was always kind of awkward because, like, we switched who sat by who, like, pretty much every meal. And it made conversations difficult because, like, you ended up having, like, 2-3 conversations all the time. And it also made it difficult when we were, like, trying to do things together in ports because, like, you can't all walk together. You know, like when Megan and Ben and I traveled together, which we traveled together a lot, the 3 of us can be walking 3 together, you know, easily and talking to each other. I mean, that's not that hard. But when you get to 4 or 5 or more people, it's really difficult to have conversations and everybody be able to participate in the conversation. You end up breaking off and having multiple conversations. And so then it's somebody, what were you talking about? What was that? You know, and it wasn't easy. It was not fun and kind of stressful. And the other thing I really didn't like about that cruise and that many people is I really didn't feel like I got to spend very much time with Andrew. Because Andrew was in the room with my dad, they kind of did things together, or he did things on his own. A couple times the kids did things, and I didn't really ever get any time with him just together. And I really think, I mean, we enjoyed getting to do that with my dad, but in the future, like, okay, back when my kids were little, I loved having my dad with me because he was a huge help. When my kids were little, my dad was a very hands-on grandpa and very helpful with the kids when we would travel when they were small, you know, because you needed another adult. I was a single mom for almost my entire kids' lives. And so you needed another adult. Maybe one kid's got to go to the bathroom, or you need somebody to save the table, or, you know, very practical things like that. Or you need more hands or eyes to keep track of everybody. So that was nice when my kids were littler. But now that, you know, everybody's big, I don't need him for that anymore. Everybody's independent and can take care of themselves. And so it almost became like a distraction, you know, trying to keep him entertained too and make sure he was having a good time, which I've talked about before. And I didn't feel like I got good one-on-one time with the kids. And I didn't feel like sometimes I just wanted to be my little family. You know, I just wanted to be me and my kids. That's my family. And I haven't gotten an opportunity like that, the four of us, since 2017, when we went on the Disney Wonder, the four of us. That's the last time I've gotten a trip with just us four. And then the last time we went to Disney World that Andrew went with us was 2015. So it's been like 8-9 years. And I want to do that again. So this trip definitely, I mean, I was glad I got to give my dad the opportunity to go to Alaska with us and spend that time with us, but I don't want to do those 5 people again. I wouldn't want to. I would never want to travel with more than 4 people at this point going forward. 4 is nice because you have tables for 4. You can do 4 very easily. You can pair up in different ways. But I really would prefer it to be 2, 3, or 4 people, and that's it. That's how I want to travel. And I really very much want to have another travel experience with just me and my 3 kids. And I don't know when we're going to be able to do that. And that's something that's really important to me that I really want to try to do. I've especially been thinking I want to get back to Disney World and take Andrew because he hasn't been there in so long. He hasn't seen like anything of the new stuff. And, you know, Megan and Ben and I have been there multiple times without him since last time he was there. And he's missed out on a lot of stuff. So he's a big Star Wars fan. He hasn't seen Galaxy's Edge. He hasn't seen Toy Story Land. He hasn't seen any of that. So that's something that's a really high priority for me, but it's so challenging to figure out a time when we can all go because of the kids' schedules, especially Andrew's. And so, yeah, but I don't recommend it. I don't recommend traveling in larger parties. It's challenging and it's difficult. It took away from my enjoyment level quite a bit, actually. It made it more stressful for me and harder for me to relax and harder for me to get out of the experience what I wanted to get on it. So from my perspective, I don't recommend it. Okay, number 6, Royal versus Holland America. Good question. I have done 3 videos, I think, comparing Royal Caribbean to Disney Cruise Line. So if you haven't seen those, go check those out because those are 2 of the more popular cruise lines that are recommended for families. But Royal Caribbean versus Holland America is a completely different thing, and I hadn't thought about comparing those. One thing you have to keep in mind is both Disney Cruise Line and Holland America Line are considered premium cruise line. Something that I noticed on Holland America, and I talk about it a lot in this video, is there were areas where I really felt, even though Holland America is supposed to be the premium cruise line, Royal Caribbean did stuff better. Royal Caribbean is a significantly larger cruise line than Holland America. Royal Caribbean has like 36 or 37 ships now. And Holland America only has, I don't even know if they have 20. So Royal Caribbean has a lot more opportunity. They have a lot more staff. They have a lot more crew. They have a lot more opportunity to practice and get things right. They don't always get things right, but I just feel like overall, I enjoyed the overall product of Royal Caribbean a little bit better. But there were a lot of things I liked about Holland America too. It's a very different feel. But again, it can depend on the ship because some of your smaller, older ships on Royal Caribbean might feel a little bit more like the Holland America experience. because, they're not going to have the water slides and the family friendly, like the Oasis class ships or the Voyager class ships or the Freedom class ships would. If you go on a Radiance class ship or, even like the Grandeur of the Seas or the Vision of the Seas, one of those older, smaller ships on Royal Caribbean, the experience could be more like what you'll find on Holland America. Holland America doesn't have any massive sized ships. So right there already, and they really pride themselves on their history and their traditions and things like that. And that's not so much something that you see Royal Caribbean really focusing on. I mean, there's a lot of things that are the same in any cruise experience, but it's a very different feel. And I mean, again, Royal Caribbean is a mainstream cruise line. It's much larger. You have a lot more ship variety, a lot more destinations. But Holland America does take some really incredible, unique itineraries. I mean, they do some long cruises that sell out very quickly because they're very, very popular. So, I mean, I think they're both a very solid cruise product. I would highly recommend either line to people. But it really is going to depend on your personality and what you're looking for. So, yeah, I mean, I still rank them. Somebody asked me about this in the previous Q&A video. I still rank the 3 cruise lines I've been on at this point like this: Disney, Royal Caribbean, Holland America. But that's just my personal preference, and somebody else might switch them around. It's a nice cruise line. Holland America's a nice cruise line. Royal Caribbean's a very nice cruise line. I've had enjoyable experiences on both. I would go on either one again. But it depends on the itinerary. It depends on, what I'm trying to get out of it. So hopefully that helps. And number 7, how did my kids like Graceland and New Orleans? Okay, so I asked them this right before I filmed this. They both said they liked them. Ben said he enjoyed Graceland. He thought it was neat. And he liked New Orleans, but he did think some parts of New Orleans made him a little uncomfortable. He felt a little scared. Like some parts, and I understand what he's saying. Some parts, he said, felt a little unsafe. So that can be true in any big city, though. Especially, there was one place near our hotel where we had to walk past a pretty big homeless encampment under an overpass and stuff like that, and that can be a little scary and things like that. But I know what he means, but I think he liked it fine. Megan said she really enjoyed Graceland, especially after seeing the Elvis movie. We saw the Elvis movie 3-4 times. I think one time I went to it by myself, so they might have seen it 3 times in the theater, and we bought it. We really enjoyed the Elvis movie, and Baz Luhrmann did an absolutely phenomenal job. We talk about it in those vlogs of filming that movie and recreating Graceland, because he did not have much time to study it, and he actually recreated the set in Australia, and they filmed the entire movie in Australia, which just blows my mind, because after we went there and I saw what it actually looks like, it's exactly the same. And so he did an amazing job with it. There was more to Graceland than I was expecting. It's a much bigger, the house itself had more in it. I didn't know there was a basement and a whole bunch of stuff down there. And then the whole complex that's across the street, we didn't even get to see it all. We left because it was going to start storming. And so we didn't get to see the planes or anything like that. But the whole complex is huge and it's pretty new. It was built in, I think they said 2017. Very interesting. Lots of exhibits. I mean, there was stuff in there that Ben liked too. There were cars, Elvis's vehicles that he had. There was costumes. There was stuff from the Elvis movie. There was, it was a huge complex. There's a lot to see at Graceland, and the kids liked it. So they both thought it was really interesting to see the history and everything. And yeah, so I mean, if your kids know anything about Elvis, and especially if they see the movie first, I think they'll really appreciate it. My kids liked it. And then Megan loves New Orleans. She said she loved New Orleans. She really likes the history of New Orleans. It's a very cool historical city. And she really likes the culture. There's a lot of French culture and Creole culture there. It's a very unique city. New Orleans really is something special. And she did say she definitely liked going with us better. She had been there before. She went on a school trip in 2019. She did say, though, she thinks New Orleans is cursed because both times now that she's gone to New Orleans, she got very, very sick afterwards. Like when she went on her school trip, she got sick on the trip. And then she missed like 2 weeks of school afterwards. She lost her voice and was really sick. And then this time she got sick right after we got home from the cruise. And so she probably got sick on the cruise, so that's just kind of bad luck. But she really enjoys New Orleans and thinks it's a beautiful, very interesting city and liked it very much. So yeah, I mean, I've been to New Orleans multiple times when I was their age and as a young adult, and I always really liked it. So, I mean, if you've got older kids or teenagers, I totally recommend taking them to New Orleans. It's a great city. It's very, very interesting and really kind of cool. So, and there's a lot to New Orleans. There's a lot of stuff you can see and do there. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate all your questions that you submitted and all your comments on all of my videos. And I love hearing from my viewers and interacting with my viewers. Thank you for all your support for the channel. If you liked this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you want me to do Q&A videos in the future, let me know that in the comments. And I can do this again in the future or make it a regular thing. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please be sure that you subscribe. And ding the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my upcoming content. And remember, subscribing is free. Subscribing on YouTube is totally free. It does not cost you anything. All it does is let YouTube know that you enjoy this channel and you want to see the videos that this channel puts out. I hope you have a great day, everyone. Safe travels.